Nadia Bilchik is a television news anchor, keynote speaker, author, trainer, and communications consultant. She has a wealth of experience interviewing and consulting with world-renowned figures, celebrities, and corporations. Nadia speaks on how to get people to like you, trust you, and want to do business with you, with topics like leveraging the power of your personal presence, networking for success, and lighting the fire. Nadia Bilchik.
1997. Think what you looked like in 1997. I bet you, having had a look at the remarkable women, probably not as good as you look now. Because sort of big hair was in, remember? Why I ask you about 1997 is I was living in Johannesburg, South Africa. And I had the kind of princess life. I had a prime-time anchor position that Beth mentioned on Mnet television. I had a media and presentation skills company called OnQ, and I trained Miss South Africas and politicians and numerous people I trained around the country. And I had two small children at that stage, 3 and 6 years old. The only problem in South Africa at the time, it was 1997, Mandela was president of the country. It was an extraordinary time to be a South African, but the crime was overwhelming. Now it's a cold Thursday night, July 1997, and the telephone goes, and it's a friend to tell me that Rob Kaplan, someone that we'd been to school with, had 4 armed guys burst into his house. He was in critical condition, not expected to live. Literally, a few seconds later, my mother called and she said that another guy who we knew very well, who'd been an active anti-apartheid activist, had been hijacked and murdered. So at that point, my husband looked at me, he looked at our 2 small children, and he said, I cannot live like this anymore. I am telling you, within 6 weeks, I had given notice to the television station, sold my business, and was living in Atlanta, Georgia. Never been to Atlanta. Now, little did I know what changing countries, continents, and sides of the road would bring.
Hi, I'm Diana Swan. I listened to Nadia speak today. Just want to let anyone know that's interested in this. Definitely a wealth of knowledge that Nadia has, and the way that she delivers it is very inspiring, and I encourage anybody to definitely participate, and I look forward to getting to know Nadia better and hopefully attending more of her conferences.
I really enjoyed Nadia. She did well presenting the information to us, helping us to be better communicators, and getting out and doing some networking professionally.
I want you to think of your rocket as your message, the what I am actually saying. Now, what happens if you have a perfect rocket, but the delivery system, the rocket booster, the payload is faulty? What happens to the rocket? Dive. So you can have a perfect message. You can have the best elevator pitch, the best branding statement, the best brag bag, the best stories. But if you are not compelling in the way you tell people, engaging, have confidence, failed message, failed launch. You see, I don't need to talk about the obvious things of branding with you, how your card should look, what your logo should look like. You're all brilliant at that. It's the intangible part of your brand that gives you edge. It's the way you make people feel. It's what derails you. It's what happens under pressure. Because you can have the most perfect attire. You can be dressed in the most amazing Armani suits. You can have the most wonderful, deep, resonant voice. You can be brilliant at what you do. But in an unconscious moment, you can sabotage yourself by behaving badly, losing your temper. Never happened to anybody here, right? And it's what we call, in my branding program, we call it a derailer. What derails you? People think branding is about the superficial, about the visible, about the tangible. It is as much about the intangible. So part of understanding your brand in its entirety is to really say to yourself, what derails me? What causes me to sabotage the image I am trying to project?
I'm Ryan Engel with Epic Response, and it was a very good event, very informative. Took a lot of notes, and definitely would recommend Nadia for any other events of this type, and I look forward to reading her book.
I'm Heather Rich, and I found Nadia today fantastic. She was extremely informative and reminded us of things that we might already do and things that remind us of things to do, not to do. So it was a great day today. Thank you, Nadia.
When we think Oprah, certain words come to our minds. When people think you, what do you think comes to mind? We were so quick at Oprah. When people think you, what do you think comes to mind? What would you like to come to mind? And the question is, are you doing everything in your capability to ensure that what you would like people's perception of you to be and what their perception of you is congruent? But the question is, as Jason said today, do we do it as well as we could? And I love what Emerald says, because he says you could be doing it well, but let's kick it up a notch. You're about the most fabulous group of people I've ever spoken to, certainly the most well-dressed. So all I'm going to say is, if in the next 45 minutes something inspires you that says, you know, I'm doing that, but I could be doing it, why do people do business with you? There are other people who do what you do. But what about you says, that is the person I want to be standing on that stage for my Crew Network event? What about you says, I want you to be the person who negotiates my lease? Why is Alexander heading up the Wachovia lease division? Why him? Why does he get the job? Why do you do as much business as you do, and could you be doing more, is the question.
The session today was really great. It talked about relationships, and that's really what working for Delta is about. We always say it's about the people, and this reminds us that we need to invest in those relationships.
I'd been at CNN for just a couple of months, and I was doing an overnight shift for the CNN airport network. Has anybody ever done an overnight shift? In the true American expression, it sucks. Okay, so by the point, do you ever remember that ad that said nothing sucks like Electrolux? Talk about bad branding. Anyway, overnight shift, CNN Airport Network, I'm doing the overnight shift, and I say to one of the makeup artists, what do anchors typically do? I've only been there for 2 weeks. What do anchors typically do in an overnight shift? She says, oh, they take a little nap in the makeup room. I take a little nap in the makeup room, 2 minutes. The next day, I get a call from the head of the CNN airport network, and he screams at me, says, you are not allowed to sleep in the makeup room. Do you know the whole of CNN is talking about you? Now, he absolutely chastised me, lambasted me. Look, I didn't know that the man was a megalomaniac psychopath who's subsequently been fired. But what I did know is I was utterly bereft, and I just started to cry. It was just come to America, left my amazing career in South Africa. There's actually a term for what I went through. It's called the narcissistic injury. And I am now bereft, and I have to be downtown at Georgia Public Television for an audition in half an hour. So I get into my car, and I start thinking about things that'll make me feel better. And I think about the Women in Film Awards that I just hosted with Elfrey Woodard. Now, I was wearing this magnificent red dress, which doesn't fit me anymore. And she was wearing a beautiful brown dress, which if you saw her in Desperate Housewives, I don't think it fits her either. But I visualized that. Anyway, by the time I got into the audition, I had started to feel better. I walk in. They say to me, Nadia, you have memorized the script, haven't you? Well, of course I hadn't. I'd been crying. So I said, no, but I really like to improvise. Now, do you think if I would have walked into that room and said to them, I am in terrible pain. I have just been screamed at. I am so sorry. I mean, I may have got their sympathy. They were very nice people. Do you think I would have got the job? No. Because you see, sometimes we have to act up even when we're feeling down. And sometimes that natural energy is not there, but we have to create it as part of our brand. And I'm reminded that it is sometimes easier to act your way to feeling better, because you have to let success vibrate within you.